When I spit bars in a rave, man, I go hard like Santan.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of MUGA. This week we are joined by our special guest, Manchester-based comic Danny. How you doing, Danny?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad, mate. Feel free to plug your socials to anyone who's not following you, where they can see your work.
Yeah, I haven't really got that much going on at the minute, to be honest. It's just at Danny MC Comedy. And Instagram's the same. I've been like, I've not got any gigs to do. So
you've been locked down like the rest of us, yeah?
I've been spraying all my old Jordans. I've been customizing trainers. That's what I've been doing in my spare time.
Sick. Michael, I decided to wear the same colour as Mariah I could do. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm blessed, brother. I'm painting my room green as well, man.
Seb, how you doing, mate?
I'm here, man. I'm here. The ghost of Seb is here.
Yes, good to see you. Before we start, I'm just going to take an opportunity just to share some of the things that we've got going on at the moment. So firstly, our Discord community, we started it about 10 days ago. Over 200 people have joined. Get on there, create a profile, join the conversation. We've got spaces to discuss football. We've got spaces to discuss other sports and just general topics that you may be interested in. We've got a few things coming up over the next few weeks. So yeah, sign up, create a Discord profile, join the conversation. All our podcasts are on YouTube now, so if you're somebody who prefers to do the visual thing rather than just solely going down the podcast route, we've got our Touchline Fracas YouTube channel. Make sure you go on there, click subscribe. Obviously, we've naturally got our Instagram channel, which doesn't get used very much, but give us a follow. Maybe we might start putting some content out on there. Before we start, please share our podcast. I know you guys listen to our podcast to hear the Manchester United news, but obviously we've got the main podcast that comes out on a Monday morning. That's kind of like your general football news across the week. For those of your friends who support Liverpool, we've got Fracas, which comes out on a Wednesday morning. Yeah, Danny, they're all right. They're a good bunch of lads. For those of your friends who support Arsenal, we've got Touchy Gooners, and that's comes out on a Thursday morning, to share that. And then for those of your friends who support Chelsea, we've got Chelsea Hour that comes out on a Friday. So yeah, just get those accounts shared among your friends.
You've not got a City one?
They ain't got any fans, mate.
Yeah, I thought they were massive.
Sweet. We're back. Friday night football, as it were. Manchester United versus Tottenham. You'd think it would be a pretty calm run-up to it with everything going on, but, we've lost pre-season games to West Brom. Tottenham have been exposed to players with COVID. The game's going on regardless. Jose's come out to say that he thinks Solskjaer is really out of his depth. So suddenly this game is, it's pretty tense now, and there seems to be a lot riding on it. Obviously, you want to beat Jose. He put us through quite a bit. I'll start with you, Danny. How have you been doing with football off for as long as it's been off for, and what are you looking forward to?
I've been enjoying it, I don't want it to start. It feels like the 90s where United are good again. We're absolutely nailing quarantine. We're the quarantine champions. Like, free meals for the NHS. We didn't try and furlough people like Liverpool did. We've got little Rashford doing bits. It was Black Lives Matter, and we never used to wear T-shirts with a racist on.
Yeah.
We've won this. It's been great. So when we get washed by Tottenham 6-0 on whenever it is, Thursday or Friday, it's gonna feel a bit shit. I'm basking in it, being the good guys.
Yes. Michael, what are you looking forward to? It's been a while, hasn't it?
It's been a minute, man. It's been a minute. 3 months, no footy. Like Premier League footy, that is, and it's just good. It's good to be back, but it's good to be back. I know the fans won't be in the stadium, but it's still good to see some quality football being played in this country, and it's good to get our key players are back fit. Rashford, Pogba. So let's see a full strength team. Let's see how he puts it all together, man.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So obviously, all the Prem clubs have kind of been doing the round, playing. I won't call them pre-season, but mid-season games, just to kind of get the blood going again. Remember what it's like to be a professional footballer. We played 2 games with 2 different teams against 2 different West Brom teams. Mixed results. We beat them 3-1 with a team that had De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka, and we had Maguire, Lindelof as our partnership in Shaw at left back. We then had James Garner, Fred, McTominay, Pereira, Lingard, Chong, Mata, and Igalo. On first look, you'd probably say that may be our weaker team. but they won 3-1. And then the second team that lost 2-1 had Romero in goal, Bishop at right back. Well, I think at right back here, right wing back. They had Bailey, Tuanzebe, and Mengi as our centre backs. Williams, I think at left back, but then Dallo, Fosu, Shah, Matic, Pogba, Bruno, Gomez, James Greenwood, Rashford, and Martial all played, and that team actually lost 2-1. That second team had the dream quartet in Pogba, Bruno, Rashford, and Martial. We did see that nice little diag that Pogba played to Bruno, which didn't go in, but it looked great. It looks absolutely great. Yeah, absolutely great. Obviously, the fans have been kind of jumping at the bit for this kind of Bruno and Pogba partnership, and the United socials have been playing up to it as well, showing two teammates training together. Would you imagine that? Two teammates actually training together. What do you think we can take from not that I respect we can take much from those results, but what sort of lineup do you think we're going to be going for in that first game back? Do you expect Rashford and Pogba to start? Do you think they'll come off the bench? Because we've done well against the big teams this season, so having even more quality on the pitch should bode well for us.
Yeah, I think Rashford will play. I've seen some leaks today, or leaks or whatever, some chat that Pogba won't play.
Okay.
I don't know why that is. I don't know if because he's rusty or whatever, but I can't see him being. Everyone's rusty. Do you know what I mean? It's been 3 months off. So I don't know. It was funny watching all the other fans, the opposing fans, as you get whenever United lose, giving it you got beat by West Brom with this amazing team. It's like, yeah, but look at the defence. That's the key. Like, the defence is always the key. Like we've seen that in the past. We've had great attacking players and Jones and Smalling at the back and got beat by like the Fulhams and all that. Like nothing counts unless you've got your full team out. It's still a weakened team. It might have all these amazing players up the top, but it's just a top-heavy, all right team. It's not like there's still holes in it, and it only needs 1 weak link to even West Brom. They're not mugs, do you know what I mean? So it was quite funny watching people jump on that like we'd just been battered, like the treble team had just been battered by West Brom. It was weird.
Yeah, we're in a place where everyone's itching for some football news. So if the banter can start even before the season starts, then why not? Why not? What was interesting to me was not interesting, maybe a bit interesting. Off the back of the Norwich game that Spurs played, they also lost, by the way. Off the back of the Norwich game that Spurs played, it turned out that one of Spurs' players, or one of Norwich's players, has tested positive for COVID. Obviously, normal protocol dictates that, or you'll be able to clarify for us, Michael, but protocol dictates that if you are exposed to somebody who has COVID, you need to self-isolate for 14 days. But what came up off the back of that was that it didn't actually quite fall into those parameters because no one had spent 15 minutes within 2 meters of this player. Michael, is that the case? It's the first time I've heard of that kind of subsection within the COVID exposure rule. Have you heard about it before? Is it the first time you're hearing about it? Help us.
No. I've heard about it before. That's like they want us to keep the 2 meter distance. Like typically, like if you're out and about. But really and truly, they're saying for your higher chance of getting it if you're for like 15 minutes within the 2 meters. So that's the concept of the transmission, isn't it? So obviously, with these higher paid, higher privileged players, they're gonna want them to get them on the pitch, innit? And no one, unless they're man marking this guy for the whole game, I don't think anyone probably fits the criteria for being within 2 meters for 15 minutes during the game. Yes. So that's probably the way. And they've got the benefit of doing the testing. I think the Premier League tests them twice a week now. So they got the benefit of the testing. So even if none of them were close to him for that long, I think they'll be all right.
So why couldn't we play like last month? Or 2 months ago? It just seems like it's changing the rules. It's like, when you play pool with someone you've not played pool with before, and they're like making up the rules. Like, oh, you have 2 shots on the yellow. Oh, no, I don't do that. And it just seems like they're just changing it.
Jacks on 2.
Just anything like that. Yeah. Like different volleys and heads rules. Like, oh, no, it bounces only with your left foot. And like, it just seems like they're making concessions, and because they just really want to. Let's be honest. If someone's got it, then they should follow the guidelines, because it's a big FU to everyone else. Why can't I'm walking around with this trim, and like, I can't get a haircut for 14. Like, what if I went for a 14-minute haircut? Would that be all right then? According to them, it would.
No, yeah, 100%.
But now,
100%.
but they wouldn't let me. But now they're letting like Tottenham off. They should. They find out who it was, and like everyone who went near him, they've got the Opta stats. So, and finally, that's use them Opta stats for good. Be like, nah, you were with him there, so you can't play Kane. And all the good players, like, basically, I want to play Tottenham's youth team. That's it.
We should start a campaign. Truly. I may back it. I may front it. I may put my doctor title there, and then we see where we get to, innit?
Yeah, you could lead the movement for us. Obviously, we all know about Jose's tenure at the helm. We won some stuff, but ultimately it didn't end very well. How badly do you want to beat the Spurs, guys? Seb, how badly do you want to beat them?
I'd love it if we beat them. I'll fucking love it. But yeah, man, nah. We gotta beat Jose, bruv. We gotta beat him, man, because I don't know, bruv. Like he just done too much at our club in regards to like the damage, in regards to the players that we like. Yeah, man, he done too much, and then on top of that, he was cheeky about it. And then like even the way how he left, it was just like he down tools. Usually it's a player, but the manager actually down tools and was trying to get himself sacked for time. Like he was Golden Woodward, yeah, in the media all the time. He was picking up random teams, 6 at the back against anybody, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, we ain't got the players," and whatever, trying to prove a point. And it was just like one of the worst times. Obviously, it's probably not the worst time as a Man United fan in regards to the other managers we've had recently, but in recent years, yeah, man, it was difficult having Jose, man. And I was definitely on the Jose hype train when he first came out, and Chelsea fans was telling me he's finished. I was like, nah, man, the special one. At least if he gives us one season, he wins us the title one season, I'll be happy. But not even that comes. So yeah, man, I'm happy that we're playing, and I hopefully we can win, and hopefully Rashford can grab a hat trick, man, because he should have got one when we played them last time, man. And that would be elite for me, mate.
Yeah, that performance was probably the best Rashford performance I think he's had. He really had a vendetta against him. I think he scored 2 and he hit the crossbar as well.
Yeah. He should have had a hat trick.
Yeah, scored 2, hit the crossbar, and I think he was just a terror on the ball down that left-hand side. I think we can all see the kind of big gap that we've had in the team without him. So obviously, on the main pod yesterday, we were talking about teams we wanted to see playing in the games coming back. And everyone was kind of referring to the form of 3 months ago, which to me means very little because they're all starting again. But between the 4 of us, I want us to come up with a kind of the lineup that we want to see. We want to see against Spurs. So in goal, I mean it's DDG. I mean,
no debate.
Ollie has made some comments, and we'll get into that later. But we'd have DDG in goal. What would your back line be made up of?
I think you'll see that back line that played in the game they won against West Brom. I think that is until he can. I think he wants someone in to replace Lindelof.
Yeah.
Or Bailly to be reliable fitness wise, because I think if Bailly can stay fit, he's in there over Lindelof really.
Yeah. That's the big if there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it'll be Maguire and Lindelof, Shaw and Wan-Bissaka.
Yep. What midfield would you go with? We have quite a few options in midfield. What do you think we'll line up with?
I think it'd be Matic. I think it'll be Fernandes and one of Fred or McTominay. I think it might be McTominay.
You think it'll be McTominay? What is that for the legs? Yeah.
Yeah, and like he's that spoiling player that can do that to Mourinho teams. Break
them down. Compete physically.
And I think he's got sort of like the juju on Mourinho because like Mourinho brought him through. And I think that's to like try and use his own weapon against him, sort of.
Almost
thing.
brings a tear to his eye, like
Scott is actually Mourinho's son, you know. When you think about it, because like the things he used to say about Scott, were crazy. Like he used to say, like the first season, I think he got like what award did he get? Like
he made an award for him.
Yeah, he gave him an award, and then also when he left, I think he said like McTominay was the most talented player at United or something like that. He said something crazy like that when he left, and I was like, He loves it.
Jose's McTominay was Fergie's Fletcher. It looks like.
Oh, facts. Yeah. That's
I think he won the.
I like that.
I think he won the "Which player does the manager love the most"
I think,
award.
yeah. I also think it was the secret way to fuck Pogba off award. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
He only got in the team to annoy Pogba against Sevilla. That was the whole thing. Like, McTominay seemed to be Mourinho's main weapon when he wanted to make a point. Like, when he down tools, like Seb was saying, against West Ham, that was by playing McTominay at centre-half.
Yep.
McTominay used to play striker in the youth team. He's never played centre-half in his life.
Bonkers.
So,
bonkers.
yeah, it just seemed McTominay was like, when it, like, I don't know what it was like, but I grew up with my mum and dad not together, and I was used a lot by my parents to hurt the other one, and it seems like
McTominay's got the Danny MC award. Cool.
McTominay gets to see Mourinho every other Tuesday, and they go to McDonald's.
Yeah. And I was just meetings across Zoom to see how he's doing and see if he's still doing his own work. What attacking lineup would we be going with? So we've got, again, quite a few options. Who do you think Rashford starts?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I saw a brief fact saying that Rashford's on fire in quotation marks. That's what they said. He's been on fire in training.
He's ready, yeah?
Yeah.
Who do we have on the right-hand side?
Greenwood for me.
I want Greenwood, I want Greenwood.
Do you think he's going to start
through the middle?
Greenwood, and then he'll start Martial?
Yeah.
What do you
looks weak to me, that right-hand side, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's not enough, like just like in terms of like grown strength and like pace and just like adult attributes, it's lacking from Greenwood again. Like he's still a kid, isn't it? So like he ain't really got, like, he's not like physically advanced like the Mbappes of the world. You know what I'm trying to say? However, he's technically advanced. So I'd still have him there because I feel like he can make a difference. But I'm not mad at anybody playing on the right hand side, man. Fling Lingard in there if you want, mate. I don't know.
Nah. You got too much
I draw the line at Jesse Lingard.
It's weird though, because even though I've got a thing for this, like playing players at, like, even if he was like a beast, Mason, and he's 24 and he's like developed like Rashford, you still don't want to be playing him on the right. He's a striker. This thing by like square pegs in round holes has sort of plagued United since Fergie's gone. I just want to see someone in there, man, on the right.
So,
yeah.
Oh yeah, we definitely need a proper right winger.
But that's why I'd be tempted to play Dan James in there, as much as he's a one-trick pony. Like, if you look at his assists this year, he's got 6, and he's had a better season, I think, than people have thought, and I think he can cause Jose teams as well a lot of trouble with the pace. I don't know who's left back. Ben Davis, is it, or something?
Yeah,
Ben Davis.
I think he'll have Ben Davis on toast.
Yeah. We're not the biggest fans of Dan James on this pod. I think it's statistically he's done all right. I think it's when you put it within the context of all the time he does get on the job, on the ball. Sorry, and it's almost like, yeah, you've done decent with the time you've had on it. But if we had, like, let's say Sancho, for example, if we had Sancho getting in the positions that Dan James gets into, I reckon we're right in there in that top 4. Like, because
if we had Nani, or if we had someone
even Nani,
like someone who in the past we've sort of gone, oh, he's not quite good enough. Like, I mentioned Fletcher before. Like, Fletcher would waltz into any of these United teams in the past 5 years.
100%. Yeah,
so
that's true.
Even players that played on the right that we all thought weren't quite good enough, would be better there than even, I think, Mason, who's going to be a world-class player. But if you don't want him playing there, you want him in the box.
Yeah, you want him across the width of the goal, right foot, left foot. I was seeing he seemed to, when he initially came in, he was kind of struggling with the physical side, which is why kind of his best moments always seem to come in isolation, like a one touch, and then you don't see him for 15 minutes, and then it's like a right foot shot that just goes wide. But I think there was even that Spurs game he played where we won, when he played up front, I thought he was decent. Like, he was able to a couple of times get the ball, bring it down, hold it up, link the play with the midfield, and progress the ball up the pitch. So I think with him, it's just going to have to be patient for the physical side to
totally.
catch up with the technical.
Yeah,
with the
that's
technical side.
that's why he is there, isn't it? On the right is because you're not getting man marked on the right. You're not getting punched by big centre backs on the right and elbow. He hasn't got to win any headers and stuff like that. So it is better for him. But as a United fan, you don't really want to see that.
Exactly. How bullish do we feel about this Spurs game? Because obviously, like I said, the big games are something that Ollie has managed well since he's come in, and especially well this season. Spurs obviously were struggling. They were struggling before the season got postponed. Harry Kane was out. I think was Son away as well. It didn't look good. It didn't look good. And obviously now they've had some time to recalibrate. Jose snuck players to the park to make sure they're actually working out. And I reckon he probably kept that up. He just got them to wear balaclavas so nobody would know who it. Got them to wear balaclavas and not wear the Tottenham insignia while walking around the local park.
I don't know who let them wear the kit. Come on, bro. Like, these guys break. Come on.
Dress them up like the people who work in the park, like the council or whatever.
Exactly. That's a very well organised bunch of lads there. They've got cones and mismatched straps and bottoms. But how confident are we going into this game? Because I'll talk about the run of fixtures we have for the last 9 games or so. 9 games, before. But how confident are we going into this game?
I'm not now, just because I'm always a bit pessimistic anyway. But knowing what could have been. Like, you've got Tottenham there with no players, Ali out, Kane out, Son out. Like, someone else was out as well at the back, I think, as well. You've got Mourinho looking like if he loses another 3, he could go.
Yeah.
Like, literally, he was on people were chatting about getting rid.
Yeah.
And then we're flying, we're battering everyone. Like, and now it's so much has changed that it's just typical that we'll just go and get an L now just because of this. That's the only reason I'm thinking it. It's nothing football-wise, just circumstance-wise is making me think,
that would be typical football, and it's typical. Like Mourinho just spent this last 3 months daily Zoom meetings, making sure they're getting that elite mentality. Like, listen, I need you running through brick walls.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if they do us and then they just go straight back to how they were before the lock-off and just keep losing.
Yeah, but just that first game back. I
feel like that's quite possible. Like, as I've said on the pod over the last couple of weeks, I've said I feel like the Spurs game is a bit of an etchy one, just because it's Jose and he's always capable of a shithouse. He's always capable of a one-off victory, and then, as you said, Danny, then he'd probably go to shit after that. But I didn't think that if we lose against Spurs or draw against Spurs, I feel like we will be able to beat the other teams. I'm just not sure about the Spurs game.
Okay. And how considering where the table is at the moment, how big of a dent is it if we don't come out of that Spurs game with a positive result? We're 3 points behind Chelsea with the same amount of games played, and then we're 8 points behind Leicester with the same amount of games played. If, for example, Leicester win and Chelsea win and we lose, do you think that is it for the top 4, or do you think we've got more than enough time?
It'll go to the last day because they've got horrible fixtures. So they've got horrible fixtures, and I don't see them beating every single team. They're not going on. None of them two are going on a 9-game run. It's not happening.
Have they got to play each other?
Do you know what I mean?
Let me check. I don't think they do. We have to play Leicester, don't we?
But we have to play Leicester. We have to play Leicester as well. We have to.
Sorry to cut you off there, Seb. It wouldn't surprise me. By the way, I didn't even mention this. That I don't think this is getting finished this season.
Do you not?
This is my theory.
Okay.
No, I think they're going to play it till Liverpool have won it, and then someone's going to get COVID and they're going to pie it off, and they're going to do points per game. I think this is all to stop people whinging about it not being. They'll play it till Liverpool have mathematically won the league.
Do you think they'll let what about the relegations? Do you think they'll let that sort itself out as well?
Points per game, yeah. Because what's happened now, there's precedent for it. It's happened loads. Loads of leagues have done it. The Women's League have done it.
The
there's
Football
precedent
League have
for it
done it,
now.
League One and League Two, innit?
Yeah.
Like, they shut down. It's just the inconsistency. How you let the Premier League play on, but Football League One, League Two, like, nah, like, we'll just
Yeah,
do
I
numbers.
think as soon as this is done, Liverpool-wise, I think that's why I think it's important for us to beat Tottenham. I can see us not making the Champions League because of that Tottenham defeat, and then the points per game fucks us.
Interesting way of thinking.
Yeah, I hadn't actually
like I
thought
said,
of that,
I'm
but you make a good
pure
point.
pessimist.
No, you make a good point. Like if we're everything we were discussing before and the natural progression we think of COVID is that once everything starts opening up again, infection rates will go back up again, and the only way to curb them once again will be to get everybody to go back inside. And the question is, will that happen before this gets finished? Or I mean, you've seen the clips today of people standing outside Primark, waiting to go to Selfridges, waiting to go to Nighttown, which you can order online from. So people clearly aren't quite getting the message that only leave your house if you desperately need to. It's a recipe for disaster. I'll run through our fixture list. See what you guys think. Give me a second. Let me just pull this up. So we're away at Spurs first, which is, I guess, probably the most techie of the lot. Then we've got home at Sheffield United. We've got away at Brighton and Hove Albion. We're at home against Bournemouth. Away against Aston Villa. Give my computer a second to load up here. At home against Sutton. Away against Crystal Palace. Ooh, they've been a bit of a dodgy one for us. At home against West Ham. And the last game of the season is away at Leicester City. That let's say we were to play that whole run of games. How many points do we think that we could potentially pick up in that list? There's
I thought
9.
like maybe 20 points.
Say that again?
9 games.
20
Yeah, 9.
possibly.
20 points. 65. That will leave us on 65, wouldn't it? Or would that be 63? Give me a second.
Yeah.
Let me pull up the table.
I think that might be 63, you know.
Yeah, because we're on 43 now. No, we're on 45. So 20 points would bring us to 65. I think, I said yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, 20. Yeah.
I said on yesterday's pod, I think 65 gets Leicester a top 4 spot. Yeah. I think it's 27 games to play for. The team's being rusty and all. Yeah, I think 65 points gets you in the top 4. So can we get to 65? Can we get to 66?
The difficult games there, the Tottenham one, Leicester one, and Palace away. I think the other games are winnable. Even Aston Villa, because the way we drew with them at home, innit, 2-2 early in the season, if I recall. So that's the thing with United, the bigger games. Even though they're the most difficult, I think we tend to do better in them. It's the games that you think are routine. That you just check live score. You're just bare disappointed. The game's messed up. That's what bothers me.
Yeah, the thing is, that could just say Team A, Team B, Team C, Team D, like for United. I don't think it matters who we play sometimes. It's literally on the day, like how it goes. Like Michael said, the bigger games have proved easier. And we struggle against like the Bournemouths and the Brightons and all that. But the interesting thing is those teams without fans at home. Like we've seen
that in Germany
going crazy that they can't play at neutral grounds because all of their points they took at home this season. You take the fans away, like you said there with Germany. That their stats are mad, aren't they? The average goals conceded for home teams has gone up and it's sort of leveled the playing field almost.
Yeah,
so,
So
that's another interesting. I think just can't call this.
Yeah, I hope it does actually get to finish. But now you've mentioned that, Danny, now I can't get it out of my head that it's not going to finish. So just a bit of transfer talk, because a week doesn't go by without us being linked to some sort of player somewhere in Europe. So if it's not Sancho, it's Grealish. If it's not Grealish, it's Van der Beek. If it's not Van der Beek, it's Havertz. I don't even know when the transfer window is going to be at this point. There was talk of the Champions League coming back in August as well. Who have we perhaps not mentioned or have we missed out on that you think could potentially come in and fill out that right wing side? Because obviously you've got players like, how do you guys feel about like shopping in the Championship? Obviously we've done it with Dan James, but you've got guys like Ben Rahama, you've got Eberechi Eze at QPR.
I'm a massive fan of that.
Do you know who I really like?
That's my bag.
Who'd you like?
He's been injured this season, but David Brooks at Bournemouth.
Okay.
I think he'd do a great job for us on the
He's
right.
he's a decent little player. Is he left? He's left-footed, isn't he?
Yeah, but he plays on the right.
He's
and
nice.
He,
He's a good player.
He is a good player.
And with him being injured as well, and I think his contract might be up not this year but next year, so he might be a little. It's interesting to see like those guys coming back from injury. They're either done, aren't they, or they're Van Nistelrooy's, and they've never been injured.
Nothing happened.
So yeah, I'd like to see us pick someone up like. That's why I'm not mad at the Grealish chat. Like, I know people say like Brexit FC and all that, and like Ollie's just trying to buy British, but like we've had these experiments with Sanchez and players like this, and I think Ollie's just being wary. I mean, I do think it's bollocks. I don't think where like people are from. I don't think it matters football wise because
I ain't gonna lie, I do. I'm all for the fucking British core, to be honest, mate.
Right,
I love it. I love it. I love British core. I love the British core because if I'm keeping it real, if you look at the old school Man United teams, they were always built on British core, and there's a theory behind that. For me, I look at you look at player profile, yeah, cool. If you look at the top talents in England, they grew up watching Man United successful. So for them, the peak to them isn't Barcelona or Real Madrid. The peak to them is a Man United and Liverpool or whatever if they're at a smaller club. So when you're looking in the Championship or, you know, or like say, for example, Grealish or whatever, even him saying Old Trafford's his favourite stadium or whatever, for me, I feel like that definitely gives them that extra, you know, half a yard, and they want to impress. It's not just a step up to a Madrid or a Barca. This is the club that they want to play for. And for me, there's a theory in that with British players thinking Man United is the biggest club in the world. So I feel like they're going to take their level, they're going to take their game to a next level. So for me, I'm all for that, to be honest.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I do. I think being a Man United fan is important, but I don't know how different, like look, if you've seen a Garlo,
yeah,
like he went on the fucking tour as a professional footballer in 2003. He actually paid to go on the tour because he wanted to sit in the home dressing room. Like shit like that is amazing. And I think I don't think you need particularly to be British to get that.
That affinity,
I think being a United fan is more important than being British. But you are right, Seb. Like there's more chance of that happening if you are British.
Yeah,
You've more chance of you being a United fan. And I think it is interesting that I think United have fallen foul to that stepping stone. That seems to be the one. Oh, we'll just play it. And then like it's happening with Pogba. I mean, I don't think for a second Raiola thought Pogba was going to finish his career at United.
Do you think?
He wanted him to play two seasons and move him on to Real Madrid.
Do you think so?
Yeah, there was a I don't know how like apocryphal it was, but there was something in the paper the other week saying like literally the only person that wants to transfer from United is Raiola. It's not Pogba. He's happy to stay. So yeah, that's bullshit. That's why I like signing players from like Germany and Holland. I think United have always done better with those sort of like cold European leagues.
Yeah,
look in the past, other than like Schweinsteiger.
Yeah, because we've had this saying on the pod. We call it like Manchester United are Latin killers. Like when there's player of like that kind of Latin kind of
100%.
never goes well. Yeah,
Sanchez.
But it's so weird how it is only ever Real or Barcelona. Like you never get players that like dream to play for Bayern Munich as big as they are. They're a massive club and they're top 5 in Europe, but you never hear of players go, "Oh, it's just a stepping stone until they sign for Bayern Munich."
But you see, even going on that theory, you see that Bayern Munich go to all the German clubs, and their dream is to all the Germans in Bundesliga. Their dream is to play for Bayern Munich. That's why every time there's competition, they all regardless, they all pick Bayern Munich over everybody else, and that's basically the similar thing that I would like to see at Man United. Where
I think that's where we were once upon a time. We
exactly.
Yeah.
We
won't see that now.
fallen off that.
Yeah.
You'll never see that again in England, though. The reason that happens at Bayern so much is because they've got the monopoly over the
we did at a time as well. Yeah.
So they've got well more money than ever. They can offer double money all the time. We used to be able to do that, but now like Leicester are minted. Villa are owned by billionaires. Like you can't bully these teams anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, we have to move with the times. Interesting comment. I discussed it with Danny and Michael before we started. Interesting comment from Ollie in regards to Henderson, basically saying he's shown everything that proves that he's going to be the Manchester United #1 and England #1 very soon. How quickly before DDG's off then do we think, lads? Because obviously he signed this bumper new contract. How soon do you think before Henderson becomes a reality? Are we talking next season, the season after?
I think he'll be the season after. I think DDG will have one more season, and then PSG off you go, or Juve or something like that. But I definitely feel like, yeah, DDG will have one more full season at Man United, and then he's gone, in my opinion, or phased out. Yeah, or the thing is going to be it's going to be competition. I brought him in for competition, but the plan is to phase him out, and they're going to be rotating. And then DDG in recent years he's had a mistake in him, and it's going to take one mistake when Henderson's going to come in, and that's it.
He's just not going to give it up.
Yeah,
I can see it getting eggy.
Okay.
I can see United doing a proper United and money being the bottom line. Like they've spent all this money on David's contract now. He's on what, 300 and odd grand a week. He's what, is it a 5-year contract he signed? I don't know what the terms were.
A good long one, that's for sure.
Yeah, so he's not got to go anywhere. I can see him not wanting to go anywhere, and United getting an offer for Henderson of about 30 million, and them just taking it. I can see that happening. Yeah, because otherwise, in Woodward's head, if that happens, then and he knocks that back, then he's losing 300 grand a week on De Gea, and he's just lost 30 million out the door for not selling Henderson. I can just see them selling it, saying some bullshit that they've got a buyback clause, and that happening. I honestly can, because who's going to take De Gea really? You mentioned Juve and Paris. Ideally, that's what would happen, but they're not going to want to. They can pay him 100 grand tops.
Yeah,
he's not going to want to lose 200 grand a week.
We've priced him out of a move somewhat. His contract's on.
But I think those two players are historically pay big wages for players. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I think those are the only those two teams. Those are the only two teams that could afford the wages in the whole. Everybody else, I'd say no. And also in regards to Henderson, he's definitely he's not going for 30 million, because I think even when. Before he had signed his new deal, the links were with 60 million and 50 million to Chelsea or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Now though.
Yeah. But if he becomes Man United's #1, it's good. Woodward's probably going to price him out in regards to a transfer fee anyway. Do you know what I mean? Or if he becomes England's #1, not even Man United, if he becomes England's #1, the transfer fee is probably doubled, and that's very possible, because I don't think Pickford's any good.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
The issue you got there, though, in my head, is that then Henderson then goes to Woodward and goes, "Look, I'm England's #1. I'm better than De Gea. I want 300 grand a week, or I'm going up for free." And then you've got two keepers on 300 grand a week, and you can only play one of them.
Yeah, but
one of them you won't get any transfer fee for. One of them's Henderson, who's England's #1, who you can sell for money. And
I think he just signed, didn't
that's what he'll do.
He just signed a 5-year Henderson.
Did he?
Yeah,
his contract runs.
Yeah, I think he signed a 5-year just before he went back on loan or something like that. Literally 6 months ago or something like that, he signed a new 5-year.
Oh, I didn't know it was 5.
I
thought it was a light one.
No, I think it was 5.
I'll give it a fact check.
Give it a check.
This one is his contract's until June 2022, with the option to extend for a further year. So,
this one.
The one he signed, the one that he signed in July 2019 is until June 2022 with the option for an additional year. Also, that's when De Gea's contract runs out. So his contract runs out in 2023 as well. So I think not next season, the season after probably looks like the season we'd try and do the transition, kind of like De Gea's got a year. He's got a year left. Let's try and just get him out. And even if that means taking a loss on the fee, and then they're kind of telling him, well, okay, because we've got less for the fee, we'll contribute a bit more for your wages. We can't match 300k, mate, because we're not going to pay a keeper 300k. Yeah. And then slip in Henderson. I think that's the only way. But I agree with Danny. We've put him on such high wages that I don't think any other keeper in the world is near, when there wasn't even really a market for him. That
I mean, Madrid left it by then, innit? That's the problem. Madrid weren't interested by then.
I'll stay in Manchester even if it is raining.
The thing is, as well, what worries me is Man United are so sentimental And they've kept so many players longer than they should, i.e. like Rooney and players like this. Like Fletcher was there longer than he should have been. Like, even though he had no stomach, they were just paying him. Like, and technically it's the right thing to do, but from a football point of view, they've kept players longer than they should have. And I think I can see them doing that with De Gea. Like, look at, they can't get rid of Sanchez now. And I can see like a Messi Sanchez situation with De Gea. I think he's going to be fucking up. No one's going to touch him. And he's going to end up on loan somewhere, and we'll be paying his wages like United always do, like we did with Nani, like we've just done with Rojo. Like, it's not going to happen. I think our best chance would be like fucking China or somewhere like that, or the MLS, like Beckham's team getting the bag and throwing it all at De Gea.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be stuck with an expensive ornament there, man.
Yeah,
I'm pessimistic.
we've been historically, we pay people very well, and sometimes players are like, well, you know what, I'm in the later stage of my career, playing a couple games a month, I'm okay with it, and making sure that making sure I've got that nest egg for my retirement, because you see a lot of these players having to do all sorts because they need to maintain a certain lifestyle. Like, making sure they secure those last couple of years, making as much wages as they possibly can, tends to be their priority. All that being said, let's close up with some listeners' questions here, lads. I'm going to start with a question from Wade Wills. If Oli doesn't get top 4 this season, is it even realistic to think we'll be getting players like Sancho? What do you guys think?
I think, Sancho, like, it depends, isn't it? Because he's 20 years old. He could be in the sort of mold of player that Seb was alluding to, young player who grew up watching United being successful. So probably feels that United is that team, probably what Premier League years. So he may give us a blight. But it will definitely be sticky to attract players. Like, we can only say with Manchester United for so many years before it's like, all right, cool. Like, that was some years ago. That Fergie left 7 years ago.
I'm here to tell you that isn't happening.
What isn't happening?
Sancho is not coming if we don't get Champions League. That's a fact. And plus, he supports Chelsea or something like that. But something like that. So
he just doesn't support us, basically. Yeah,
don't support us. Yeah, so he's not coming if we ain't got Champions League.
See,
because
this is my big beef with football and that chat is that, like, I know players don't come for Champions League, but we could finish 4th, or a team could finish 4th, or a team could finish 3rd in Germany, get a tough draw in the fucking knockout rounds for the Champions League, and go out. So technically, what his risk is that he's knocking back. I mean, he's going to be paid well. He's going to be on at least 200 grand a week if he signs United. So he's knocking that back to stay at Dortmund or to go to someone who for 3 games or whatever. For 3 Champions League. So he could be out of December anyway. He could be out of the Champions League. That's like 3 months in the Champions League, and he's losing 100 grand a week for that. I just don't know how. I think it's long term. I think if they look at a team and go, there's no chance I'll be playing Champions League for the duration of that contract, like Pogba probably should have done, then fair enough. But I think the sensible thing is to do what Pogba did, which was, well, if I'm any good, I will. If we miss out this year, we'll definitely be in it next year. Like, this is the thing. I don't know whether it's just me, but in my head, it's better to be that player that takes you over the edge.
Elevated. So it's like, I see your point of view. It's almost like, if they finish 5th or 6th without me, I come into this equation. You also talk about, I don't know, a promising young player who's going to be a bit better. They've also given me reassurances that they're looking to further improve the squad. I don't mind taking 1 season out of Europe to join a project. But question, it's a good point, but how do you think the Manchester United project looks from the outside in? Does it look like we're heading in the right direction? If you're somebody who was observing Manchester United.
Yeah and no. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, if you asked me this last year, I would have said no. But then if you now look at the team from the outside looking in, you say, all right, cool, there's something to work with. Do you know what I mean? You've added Bruno. You see that, okay, things are looking bright. Rashford's looking bright. So for me, only just this season, I would say, okay, things are starting to look on the up. However, previously, I would have said no. Like, a lot of Man United was starting to, damn it, it wasn't really everywhere, like all of the managers were all over the place. There wasn't no clear direction from the top. So yeah, but no, recently with especially Ollie saying the right things in regards to getting British talent, how he wants to play, telling players express themselves. Rashford not tracking back to be a bloody left wing back like other managers made him do. So again, the way we're playing, better. Some of the big games have been really, really good, and the players we now have, it makes United look slightly more attractive. But one big thing that would happen. Yeah, one big thing that would probably tip it over the edge, where I say, yeah, we're 100% a proper club now, and we are very attractive, is Pogba signing a new deal. If Pogba signs a new deal, that definitely, sends shockwaves throughout football, and then players start to look at that and say, all right, cool, Pogba's staying, one of the best players in the world. All right, cool, yeah, let me roll through. So that would be good.
I think that's the key. I don't think it matters at all to them what it looks like to us. They're going to be talking to these players. Players are candid. Like, I'm sure there's players at United that last year that were like, "Fuck me, this is shit. Don't come here." I don't know. By the way, I didn't ask if I could swear on this pod. I don't know.
That's fine. Yeah.
They're going to be like, "No, this is rubbish. Stay away." Like, I wouldn't sign for us again. I regret it. Whereas now, and I think Seb's right, but I'd build on that and say it's not even this season. It's from January. Like, Bruno seems to be the key.
Yeah, changed everything.
Bruno seems to be. I know Cantona is a cliche, so I'm going to say Bruno seems to be the Christophe Dugarry at Birmingham.
Yeah, I like that one.
Where he's just come in and he's come in with his sleeves rolled up, man, and he looks like it's weird because he signed 2 players, and I know Seb was talking about the British players there, but these players here, more so than any British player that United have signed under Solskjaer or Moyes or anything, seem to get it. And I think that's more the key. They seem to know what they're playing for here at United. And they're ready to muck in and get them where they want to be. I think that's the key.
Yeah, I think for Bruno, he's coming from a Sporting Lisbon where he was kind of the key player, and there was always a kind of frustration, like, why can't my teammates do more? I want more. I'm having to carry the burden. But now you're looking across and you see Paul Pogba, you see Martial ahead of you. You can see how much he already loves linking up with Martial. Rashford to come back in. He's watching these, even our kind of decent players like Matters, even a Lingard. They're probably better than the quality of players he had at Sporting Lisbon. So he's thinking, I've actually got some good players around me. Let's actually get busy and let's start competing again and trying to win things. So yeah, it's a good point. It's not a kind of black and white in that regard in terms of players coming in.
I think that's it. You've got those players like that who are like players that want to play with better players, and you've got the players like, I don't know, Gerrard, that were happy being the best player in that team and didn't want to go anywhere. And I think you need the Fernandezes, and they're the ones that come in and really, like, because they just made everyone better. It's amazing.
100%.
Got a question from Mo1Ups. Any chance Alexis can be reintegrated into the team for 2021, especially if we don't manage to pull Sancho off? He looked sharpish in his cameo appearance on Saturday. I was going to say I bet this is because of Saturday's game, because I was watching Saturday's game. I'm guessing none of you have actually really watched him at Inter, have you?
Nah.
Not really, I can't see it happening, man. I can't see it happening. It's done.
Shall I tell you that if we can't flog Alexis, which seems highly unlikely because of his wages, so if we can't flog him out, the only position Alexis Sanchez should play for us is up top off the bench.
Yeah.
So
say in like Europa League, Carling Cup, whatever, or like in a Prem, he should play as a central striker. That is it. I don't want to see him because he ain't got the legs. I don't want to see him on the wing. I don't want to see him nowhere. I just want to see him. Okay, Martial, you're tired. Cool, 75th minute. Alexis, come on, whatever. And that's if we can't flog him. But I don't want to see him play anywhere on the wing.
100% agree. We should use Sanchez like Fergie used Michael Owen. Like just that, like last throw of the dice, maybe he'll get you a goal. I'm not interested in how anyone plays it in Italy. Serie A, in my head, it's a Snapchat filter, isn't it? It's not real. It's an Instagram filter. It makes all these like scrubs look better, and then you go, and then you actually meet them in person, and their eyes are too close together. That's how it feels. with like the way that people are talking about Smalling, like they've forgotten about Smalling.
Crazy.
Don't get me wrong. I'd rather keep Smalling than Jones, but that's not happening for a reason. No one wants Jones, but
that gives you an
Smalling
idea.
was closer to Sylvester than he was to Stam. Yeah. And the way people are talking about Smalling at Roma is like he's like Pete Gap Stam. It's mental.
Yeah, it gives you an idea of that. Even if you watch Lukaku having a jolly up over there, and we had the Lukaku experience. It gives you an idea of the quality of the league. So, yeah, him doing well in Italy doesn't really tell us anything. It doesn't tell us that he's ready for the Prem again. So, yeah, his best days are behind him. Still to this day, an odd transfer. It almost feels like we did it again because City wanted him. For the same reason I think we signed Fred. Almost like Pep wants this player, so he must be good. So we're going to get this player so we can make a statement that we're still the bigger team. But the thing is, Pep gets these players and he has very specific ideas of how he's going to use them. Like we always say on the podcast that you play on the Pep side, you already start the season with 5 goals and 5 assists because of the amount of passes across the face of goal that the attackers are just tapping in. So, and Fred, again, you can see that in specific scenarios, he's a pretty good player. But if you ask him to come too far out of his comfort zone, then his limitations show. And
Pep's buying the jeans and he knows the exact outfit that he's styling it with. We're just buying the jeans and going, do these flip-flops work with it?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
Oh, Michael, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I think that those two scenarios, I think it was just like Man United's ego coming out. Like, we can still compete with City. We can still compete rather than having a definitive plan. Because before, it's like Sanchez came available, then it's like, okay, we got him. It wasn't like we were really, really chasing him. It literally just came out of nowhere when they got announced. It was like, okay, well, we got one up on Arsenal and Man City. Let's go.
That was a hell of a promo. You see him playing that piano. Listen.
Yeah. Well, I think if there's no Van Persie to United, there's no Sanchez to United. I think they were trying to recreate a bit of that magic. I think they honestly thought he was going to come in and win us the league. I think they thought Sanchez was going to be what it's turned out that Bruno is. I think
that re-energizer, yeah. I think when I was watching him those last kind of 6 months or so at Arsenal, he was kind of already. You could see it. He was clearly on the decline. I think we even got Van Persie on the decline, but we kind of got the first half of the season was like the last 4 or 5 months of his prime, and you saw that first from like August to December. He was mental. He was absolutely mental.
Man City away, Chelsea away.
He won us so many games and so many points. But Sanchez didn't even give us that.
Yeah. Plus Fergie's the cheat code. That's the thing. Like in a parallel universe, we sign Sanchez and Fergie's still the manager, and he wins.
And he guarantees we get more out of him. Yeah. Just tells us how much the manager means. Another question from Jess Summer. Assuming we hold on to Pogba to play with Bruno next season, who'd be your ideal signing for a balanced 3-man midfield? Or do you think we could secure a solid top 4 spot and eventually title contend, developing what we have currently, for example, Fred, McTominay and Garner?
Give Atletico Matic and 35 million for Thomas Partey.
Yes.
That would be ideal.
And Lingard.
And
you can have Lingard as well.
Give him Lingard or whatever. But that would be ideal. Like, and for me, again, like I see Thomas Partey linked with Arsenal. It would be criminal to let him go Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? Especially when United need a holding midfielder. Like for me, I would definitely. He would be probably right at the top of my list, providing I could definitely, even regardless if Pogba goes or whatnot, like he would be probably the first player I'd sign right now. And then the second player I'd sign is probably Sancho or whatever. But yeah, like Thomas Partey ideally would be somebody that would fit right in the middle with Bruno Pogba.
You'd take a Partey and a Grealish over just a Sancho any day.
Facts,
that's what Seb said as well. Yeah.
Facts, I've said that. Yeah, like for me, again, I respect Sancho. Definitely feel like he's talented, good player or whatever. But it's not that deep. Like I'm not super invested in Sancho. Like I'm not like one of the Sancho super fans or whatever. So if we didn't get him, I'm gonna feel the same way. But if we got like a right winger, I'd still be happy. I'd be happy going into the Championship, getting a top quality right winger. that's, you know, talented, relatively unknown, quite cheap, and then building out with Grealish and Partey.
Yeah.
For me, that's an amazing window.
I think it's more important that we fill that position as opposed to who we fill it with.
Facts,
like,
yeah.
we've literally not had any right winger, so we don't know how good, like, an average right winger might just be the missing piece.
Yeah. But I think we
linked with Ndidi as well, and I think today, and I love Ndidi, but for value for money, I'll be mad if Partey goes to Arsenal and we sign Ndidi for 80 million when we could just go there with buttons and just get him.
Yeah. So yeah, we watch that one eagerly, and hopefully we make the right decision. Got a question off the Discord community from WizzyPro_the3rd. Do you think the club has completely ruled out Poch? Because he was,
I think they're backing Ollie now, man. Like I get the feeling that obviously last season was a bit higgy with him, but I think now they're backing him. They're backing his transfer targets. They're seeing people in his vision. They're letting him sort of send players like Smalling on loan and Rojo on loan. They're backing his sort of transfer targets. I think they're saying Ollie's their man. I think they're backing him still.
Yeah, in my head anyway, Ollie is Poch. Ollie's Poch at Southampton. Like, he's not done anything really, Poch, to suggest that he's any better than Ollie will be in 2 or 3 years.
Ooh,
I just think if you're going to get rid of Ollie, then Poch is a little bit better. Don't get me wrong, like on paper, but you're much that you would dash Ollie just to go. If you're going to dash Ollie, you may as well try and go for that next elite manager that people are the dude at Leipzig. Is it
Nagelsmann? Nagelsmann.
Yeah, and like go for the one that's going to be that. And evidently, whereas I mean, Poch has had chances, man. He spewed it when Leicester won the league. He's had great players at his disposal. I don't know if he's that much better that he's going to be worth pissing everyone off by getting rid of Ollie. And wasting everything that Ollie's done at the minute.
Okay, so I'll ask you a question because obviously we're down in London, Europe, in Manny. What is the feeling Manchester-based United fans have about Ollie at the wheel, as they say? Is he?
I just think the fact that song was still getting sung even when we were getting beat at home by Brighton or whatever it was. It's still. I mean, people want it to happen. I think that's what it is. In the same way, like we were talking before, like how we wanted Rooney to have a good last season. There's that will. He's got more in the tank than Moyes ever had. Like, there were people that just wanted Moyes to work, but it was just never going to work. I think he's got another season of Moyes. Ollie could be Moyes for 2 seasons before they get rid. Whereas, obviously, Moyes was only Moyes till April.
Yeah.
They really want it to work. They're giving it all the chances. It's I just think that will ultimately tell. And also, it suits Woodward. Woodward wants it to work because he ain't got to pay no compensation. Ollie's probably on peanuts compared to what Jose was on, compared to what he would have had to pay Pochettino. So even if the fans want it to work for a different reason, I think Woodward wants it to work for his reasons as well. So that's why I don't think he's going anywhere.
They're going to give him every opportunity. I think in terms of what it means, the mental side, what it actually means to play for the club, he obviously has that sway and that respect in the dressing room because he was here. He was under Fergie. He won it all. He was a player who had key moments for the club. I think the other side that becomes more critical, I think, is the coaching side. So you don't necessarily, you have Fergie, you don't necessarily have to be the best tactician in the world. As long as you have that team around you that is able to make up for the deficiencies you have. We got McKenna in from Spurs. He comes in highly rated. We've also kept Carrick around, who's a bit of an unknown. But,
See, this is a thing that I don't understand more teams don't do. You've just said, you've hit the nail on the head there. A better assembled coaching team is better than whoever you've got in charge.
Yeah.
So, and the cost is so much smaller than assembling that team than paying a big name manager. So I don't understand why more things isn't let's not worry about Ollie. Let's leave Ollie there, whatever. But let's get rid of McKenna if it's not working. Let's get rid of Carrick if it's not working. Let's bring other people in.
Yeah.
You've seen how successful Fergie was when he's swapping and changing Kyrgios and people like that. He was just there to tell him to run and play well.
Yeah, he completely understood his strengths and his weaknesses. I remember they had that conversation about how he was meant to get Martin Yol in, and then Martin Yol got the Spurs job So he was ready. So he was able to get staff who were manager caliber to come in, and that's like top 6 manager caliber to come in and be his assistant and manage certain aspects while he kind of steered the whole ship. So I can see why certain fans are bullish. It would be great if a club great was able to be the one to put everything together. And obviously a lot of these younger players, Pogba, Lingard, would have played under him. So he's someone they've grown up with. And there's also, and Ollie's just a great guy. Like, put everything aside, Ollie's just a nice guy. Who doesn't like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? So we'll see.
Oliver Kahn.
That's one name. Stefan Effenberg as well. Got another question and this is our final question from Not a Winger. Thoughts on Rashford getting slated for air quotes PR? I'll let Sebi take the lead because he's a big Rashford fan.
I think the slate, him getting slated was very minimal, but it still annoyed me because you got to think about it, yeah. From the grand scheme of things, yeah, cool. All right, the way how the way how everything's put together on Rashford social media is obviously probably run by a PR firm. However, the initial idea, yeah, has to come from Rashford. So when you're doing something like that, you generally have to feel it. Like, it's something that you can relate to, you empathize with the kids, and you're like, cool, I need to do something. In regards to the execution, Marcus Rashford obviously isn't executing everything on his own. So the way how everything's written on social media, cool, it comes across very professional, but that's just what you're supposed to do. But in regards to him actually doing it, he's obviously doing it out of the goodness of his heart. He's not getting anything in return for. Marcus Rashford could have raised 50,000. Everybody would have given him a round.
It's true. It's clearly a cause that he's passionate about.
Who cares as well how he goes about it? There's kids eating that wouldn't be eating. Like,
yeah.
Why are you even bothered? How, like, he could come in and like I don't know, like, do something really cover Cheeky Girls fucking Touch My Bum and sing that on Top of the Pops or whatever and raise 20 million. It doesn't matter how the money's been raised, man. It matters that kids are eating that wouldn't be eating, and people should just think about that, not how he's going about it. The end game is the key here.
Especially for something that's so important.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Not how it gets done. It's ridiculous.
You raised 50,000.
Yeah.
Basically, if you win the league 1-0 you win by winning 1-0 every week and playing dog shit football, you've won the league, and that's what matters. Unless it doesn't matter how you go about it.
Exactly.
What matters is that there's kids having food that wouldn't have food, and if that's an issue for anyone, if the issue there, they've totally took the eye off the ball, and they need to sort their heads out.
Exactly. It's like that conversation people have about charities and how much directors make in charities and stuff like. Well, if you run a charity, you should do it for free. It's like, well, they're still spending their time and using their resources, and for them to be able to do that to the best of their ability, they need to earn a wage that allows them to have a decent living standard. And if you stop them doing that, these kids would now go from getting whatever they were getting to zero. So if the trade-off is that somebody's making 80 grand a year, then why would you not allow them to do that?
I could be chairman of Oxfam for nothing, and I'd bring nothing in.
Yeah,
and what's the point of that? And yet there'd be more hungry kids.
Exactly.
It's like anything, isn't it? You could buy a striker that's like Gabriel Obertan when we just sold Ronaldo, and it's like, oh yeah, we've saved some money, and it's like, yeah, but look how bad he is.
Exactly.
Whereas if we'd have gone and bought Benzema like we should have, we'd have probably had another couple of leagues.
Yeah, it goes without saying, really. From my perspective, keep it up, Marcus. Like, you've clearly got a platform.
Marcus,
you're using it well. Yeah, you've got a platform. You're using it well, and you've got people having a conversation that they weren't having before. People are having to answer questions that they probably didn't think they'd have to answer in this period, and he's doing everything he can. With that being said, we have come to the end of proceedings. I want to go around once again. Thank you very much for coming on, Danny.
Oh, thanks for having me, man.
That, man.
Great guest. You're always welcome.
No doubt.
You're always welcome, especially in this COVID world where it's just about clicking on a Zoom link and then hopping on a call.
Yeah, man. Anytime.
Michael, always good to see you. Next time, try to wear your own kind of.
I'm on there red again.
Seb, nice to, I guess, see you. Put that in air quotes because we can't. I see you're drinking some Ella and smoking a cigar, and you know
of course.
that's the energy we all love to have. So I'll be a big fan of it. Hopefully, the next time we all gather to speak, we'll be talking about a couple of Manchester United wins. Yeah, all right, guys, nice one.
When I spit bars in a rave, man, I go hard like Santan.